It's time to rewild for nature recovery. We're in the midst of a biodiversity crisis and a climate emergency, but it's not all bad news. We're in a very privileged position as landowners and land managers to make a difference and use our sites for nature recovery. At Ground Control, we're working with our clients across the UK. These include Tesco's, Sainsbury's, the NHS, Travelodge and Severn Trent Water to take a nature-positive approach to land management. By working together, we're looking to boost biodiversity and achieve environmental goals. So what can you do for nature? Today we're down at Little Cowbridge Wood, which is part of our 35-acre Green Gains site in Essex. We've planted over 22,000 trees as part of the Woodland Creation, and we changed the management of the existing hedgerows and grasslands to focus on nature recovery. On this tour, we'll share a breadth of rewilding techniques that include woodland, meadow and habitat creation. You'll take away the know-how to enhance your land for nature. Together, we'll turn biodiversity ambition into action. So we're down in Little Cowbridge Wood. It's our Woodland Creation project, the first large-scale nature recovery project that we did as a business. We've basically created 9.2 hectares of new native broadleaf woodland from 2 underused areas of grasslands. We've worked in conjunction with the Forestry Commission to gain grant funding for the capital works and a number of other stakeholders such as the Environment Agency to develop our plans to make the most of this woodlands within this specific situation. We've used a variety of native trees and shrubs. We've got 16 different tree species that include oak, hornbeam, willow, alder, so a really good range. It's really important to get as much variety in the tree species as we can because of the challenges of climate change, potential future pests and diseases coming in. And alongside those trees, we've got 10 native species of hedgerow and woodland edge shrubs. We developed this site because it was the land that we had available, but it can be scalable both up and down in terms of scope. We can create woodlands can be the size of a tennis court to really extensive woodland where the land allows. These nature recovery techniques can be applied to a whole range of sites, and we can tailor-make those to the land that is available. In terms of nature recovery, we see this new woodland playing a really important role in this location, and we're looking at how that connects through with the hedgerow network. We're developing the hedgerows around the site, and they will be the links to the other areas of woodland in the area. The site here, we're looking at the boundary which has had an existing agricultural hedgerow to it. It's got a footpath as well, so we've got public access. And what we've done is really look at how we can maximise this feature for nature. So we've let the hedgerow grow out, we're not cutting it back as frequently. We need to maintain the access for the footpath, but we can let the feature expand naturally, and we've got natural regeneration, we've got an increase in height. So this is something that you could look to do on your own site. Assess your sites to see where operationally you could let hedgerows grow a bit taller, a bit wider. You could look to introduce tree planting into those hedgerows, and this will create more of a nature corridor that will attract a much wider range of insects, birds and other mammals, so really multiple benefits by just changing your management regime on site. Utilising your hedgerows can happen on a wide range of scales. You don't need miles and miles of hedgerow to make an impact. Hedgerow is a really useful connector, so one side of your site to the other and connecting out into the wider landscape. This is the second area of Woodland Creation. It's a wet woodland, and we've designed the tree species around that. So we've got more willow, alder, downy birch, which gives a totally different character to this area of the site. And most importantly, we've got a significant area of open space, which is really important to give that diversity of habitats within a given area. So this has allowed us to manage the grassland in a totally different way. It's gone from being grazed by sheep to a very low level to being pretty much left to develop over the seasons. In turn, by changing the management of the grassland, we'll be attracting a wider range of insects, which will then attract a wider range of birds and other animals that feed on those. Also, it allows an open area for bats to forage and potentially for predators like barn owls to hunt on the small mammals that will be attracted to this type of habitat. If you've got grassland on your own site, the first step would be to look at changing the management regime. So where you've got amenity grass, you might be cutting it 6 to 12 times a year under a standard maintenance arrangement. So reducing that right down to potentially cut and collect only once a year at the end of August will be the first step to transforming that grassland for nature. The second opportunity would be to increase the species diversity by wildflower plug planting or potentially overseeding areas with wildflower seed, and that just increases the diversity of plants that you've got with that area, and that will bring those benefits to biodiversity along with them. We're very lucky at Little Cowbridge to have a watercourse running through the middle of the new Woodland Creation site. So that gives us a real opportunity to develop another type of habitat within the same area. But with that opportunity comes responsibility, so we need to make sure we're protecting that feature as well as enhance it. So if you've got a river or a watercourse on your site, the first thing we'd look to do is carry out that initial baseline evaluation. We'd come in with our ecologists to do a habitat survey, but also a species survey to see what you've got present on site at the moment. And then from that we can develop our designs to reflect and enhance those species and also bring in new species as well that aren't being currently catered for by the design. We want to build up tree planting but in smaller pockets, not shading out the watercourse too much, getting that balance between sunlight and shade on the water to make the most of that existing habitat. We're very lucky at Little Cowbridge to have some amazing specimen trees around the site, like this majestic oak that we're under now. And it's about assessing those, A, from a health and safety perspective, but also from a nature perspective to see what features are there that could attract nesting birds and bats. We've assessed this tree as a moderate potential for bats. It has existing natural features within it, but we could also enhance those potentially with bat boxes or bird boxes for the bird population. Scrub is a very important habitat because it's actually very scarce around the UK. Through management it has been lost, and it's really biodiverse and a rich habitat. Here we've tried to let that develop by letting blocks of hawthorn, blackthorn spread, allowed bramble to develop, so really encouraged that element of the landscape. It's viewed importantly by the DEFRA metric, so it scores very highly as a habitat type. If you've been inspired to rewild your land and take part in nature recovery for the UK, then start your biodiversity conversation with us. Head to ground-control.co.uk to discover more.